It's okay.
Yeah. We're celebrating new music with Peter Holsapple. You were just about to say on
Hootie
Hootie.
also covered For What It's Worth
Okay.
by the Buffalo Springfield, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah. Stephen Stills.
Oh, yeah.
No question. Well, we want to talk about your new music. I know you always remain active. You've got new music to talk about and such a glorious past with the DBs, and you work with REM and Hootie. Tell us about your latest record.
Okay. New record is called The Face of 68, and it's come out on Label 51 Recordings. And I am intensely proud of it. I get to be a new artist again at the age of 69 years old. How about that?
Wow.
Um, Don Dixon is the producer. We were speaking of him earlier. Um,
Yes.
the rhythm section are Robert Sledge, who played with a group called Ben Folds Five. He played bass. A guy named Rob Ladd is the drummer. He has played with all sorts of different people. Is presently the drummer for a group called the Connells. And basically we had a couple other people come in, but it was mainly the three of us. Dixon in the control room producing, a guy named Jason Richmond engineering, and we cut the whole thing. We had 4 days booked. We cut it vocals, overdubs, basic tracks, cleanup in 3.5 days. So it is a very immediate sounding record. It's a record
Mhm.
that I like to think sort of celebrates the um, maybe some of the stuff that I listened to before Big Star entered my life, and when I was like 16. Big Star really turned everything around for all of us in Winston-Salem. We were the early adopters for that band, and so uh, Alex Chilton and Chris Bell's music, I would say, probably informed a lot of my later stuff. But like I say, I had all these great records by Family and by Man and by Blodwyn Pig, and I loved my free records and the first Grease Band record on Shelter and all this stuff that wasn't like power pop. And so I tend to think that this record, The Face of 68, is maybe a little bit more representative of what my tastes in music were like then. It's a harder guitar record. It's still really good songwriting, if I can say that about my own stuff. I'm very proud of it. My family likes it. My kids like it, so it must be good, right?
Yeah, no, it's that's all that matters. You know, you hear music, you either react to it or you don't. And that's what it should be. You know, it's pure. We don't have a lot of the tools that we used to have back in the day of, college radio and music magazines galore and a record store on every other block and, free form FM radio. Things have gotten a lot different, with technology. Besides talking to people like ourselves, getting the word out, what is your strategy to make this record happen?
Well, hope I hope a lot of the fans of the DBs and the other band that I played with for 10 years, the Continental Drifters, will say, okay, let's see what he's doing now. I'm trying to get a little, I mean, basically these days it's all about getting on playlists, apparently. That is where you get any sort of traction with your songs. So the label that I'm on, Label 51, is working hard to do that. And I'm putting the word out as well. And I'm trying to play where I can. I can't really afford to have a band to do this because the economics of touring are such that it would like take all my money to do that, unfortunately. So I'm going to probably do a lot of house concerts to promote this. I I am pretty uh uh I try to look at this with a combination of excitement and pragmatism. Because, like I say, I've been making records since 1972. The business has changed, the formats have changed,
Yes.
the types of music have changed. The fact that rock and roll is kind of almost, a kind of a minor genre these days. I'm aware of all of this stuff. I'm also aware that a 69-year-old man with no hair is not going to take the charts by storm. So I'm not really expecting that. But what I am expecting is for people to try to listen to this, to put it on in stores, where they can hear it, put it on some playlists, maybe
Yeah,
get it played on some radio, and try to do everything that I possibly can within reason without turning myself into I'm not going to whore myself out to get this bought and played, but I am going to do my level best to do an honest day's work to make it happen, you know?
sure. And being a songwriter for so many years, inspired by so many greats and experiences you've had, being around some of the greatest songwriters and creators, what advice do you give to a young writer? Technology aside, I mean, it's a completely different world than we grew up in, but what advice do you give them to simply put them on their course?
Well, I have two bits of advice that I usually give. One is to not be afraid to throw a song away if it sucks. You have a pretty good idea whether a song that you have made really does anything viscerally for yourself. And if it doesn't, and it's just kind of rote and it doesn't create any sort of emotional reaction inside of you, then five will get you 10. It's not going to do that for anybody else. My theory is write a song, hate it, that's okay. Write another song, it's probably going to be better. And just keep the motion going forward with that. I would also say to songwriters, if you are writing songs, try to learn a bunch of different instruments because you're going to write a different song on a different instrument. I write different songs when I play bass from the songs that I write on guitar or on mandolin or piano. I mean, if you have a palette that allows you different approaches, then use every color in it. Find a way to make that happen, and you'll surprise yourself, I think. And just keep at it. That's the other thing. If you
Sure.
write a song, you're probably going to be able to write another one, hopefully. And then hopefully you'll end up with a catalog of songs. I think I have about 200 songs now, maybe more.
Okay. Well, if you do it for the love of it, again, it's not really work. It's your life's work. It's what you do, and hopefully you enjoy doing it, and hopefully you either find a way to make a living or find something else to make a living and still be able to make your art.
Yeah, streaming is not going to pay the rent unless you're Michael Jackson,
Yeah,
or Billie Eilish or somebody like that. But if you can satisfy yourself in terms of the aesthetics of the song you're writing, if you write a song that you're really proud of and you really, really like, I mean, The Face of 68, the whole album is full of songs that I really like a lot. I am intensely proud of what I was able to do as the songwriter in this. I mean, it feels really good. The sequence is really good. Everything about it feels good. The cover art by John Langford from the Mekons is wonderful. I'm just really, really happy to have this record come at this juncture in my life. I realize I'm in the back 40, I get it.
sure.
Uh, but I see absolutely no reason why not continue doing what I'm doing.
What's also encouraging, just this couple days, a few hours ago, Record Store Day seems to excite a lot of people. Vinyl is back in vogue, and people are re-releasing and packaging, and everything old is new again. If you put a nice spin on it, so it is encouraging to see, and we just hope that the younger generations coming up have access to music in schools. It's been one of the first things they've gotten rid of. They think everybody's going to be a computer
Yep.
programmer, and to see kids zombie eyes with video games and just staring at their phone all day and having no interpersonal relationships is very distraught, to those of us. When I tell people being a promotion guy for 50 years, we broke some of the most iconic acts of the last half century with no computers, no cell phones, no internet, no email, no social media. Yeah, they're they're looking at
Mhm.
you like you're either lying or you're from a different planet. But no, it was a handshake, a phone call, a visit to a station, a store,
Yeah.
and it was one on one. It was really ask REM, ask any of those bands. It was a long haul, but it was really people to people.
Well, I think also um, today's young people have so many other things on their mind beyond music, as you pointed out, video games and their phones and axe throwing bars and things like that, that are just like stuff that none of us that particular age would have ever conceived of, but they're there and they're here, that's what's there. But I think parents are people who are a good way of getting music to their kids. I feel like I've done that with mine. My 17-year-old, my 22-year-old are both ardent listeners. They just listen to everything, and they are constantly asking me if I've heard stuff, or can I tell them about this? Explain where this band came from. And it's a pleasure, and I can do that, and I'd like to think that parents, the parents that got rid of their record collections, I get it, size, you don't, I've dragged records all across the country, bins of records, as I'm sure you probably have as well.
Sure.
But it's like eventually when you finally settle down, you don't have all those records around, you sort of long for them. And my kids now, I mean, I lost my record collection in Hurricane Katrina when we lived in New Orleans. So I've reassembled. My hope was that I was going to be really zen, right? And I was not going to have anything, and it was all going to be, and I mean, and of course, streaming comes along and sort of facilitates that as well. Because ownership is all about maintenance and stewardship, and the missionary aspect of it. These records behind me, they're silent until I put them on the turntable. And when I'm playing them, and my kid says, "What is that?" And I said, "That's Nils Lofgren." And they said, "Do you mean Todd Rundgren?" The little switch in the back of my mind says, "This kid is paying attention, even though they don't quite have it right. They know Todd Rundgren, so I'm doing something right." And I would urge any parent to play music for your kids, and they may find something that they really like.
Well, we appreciate you joining us. So, I want to encourage everyone to go check out Peter Holsapple's new album and his catalog. You're going to discover some great things, and we appreciate your time and stories, and look forward to staying in touch and not only giving your album a boost, but look forward to our next conversation. Thanks so much
Well,
for
thank
joining us.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and go out and buy the record, and I hope you love it.